Cincinnati Bengals star wide receiver Ja'Marr Chase is waiting on his payday. But has he become incredibly underrated? I think so, and we'll talk about it on today's edition of Locked On NFL.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in to a Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tyler Rowland, local expert for Locked On Titans, here with my co-host, Alex Clancy, local expert for Locked On Cardinals. Today's edition of Locked On NFL is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Thank you for making Locked On NFL your first listen each and every day, Monday through Friday, NFL content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We're going to be talking about some Madden ratings on today's show, but using them as a way to get into some really fun NFL conversations. I think Ja'Marr Chase is underrated, and we'll talk a little bit about Brandon Aiyuk's future as well. And then Bijan Robinson getting no respect in the ratings when we look at the top running backs in the NFL. And finally, technology continues to take over our lives. I'm going to fight against the machine and say why the NFL needs to keep the chain gang at the end of the show. Before we get into all of that, again, get subscribed, stay subscribed, throw a thumbs up on the video if you're watching on YouTube. But Alex, Madden put out all their ratings, and I know that some people's instant reaction is going to be, oh, they're just Madden ratings. Who cares? All right, listen, Madden is big for the culture, all right? And we need these things to be correct, okay? Paying $70 for a video game, it needs to be correct. But wanted to talk about these ratings. Number one at wide receiver, they had Tyreek Hill, the only 99 overall. Justin Jefferson at number 2. CeeDee Lamb at number 3. A.J. Brown at number 4. Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions at number 5. So that's your top 5. Then at 6, Davante Adams. 7, Ja'Marr Chase. 8, Stephon Diggs. 9, Brandon Aiyuk. And 10, Mike Evans. And Alex, as I like to do, I like to come out of the gate here with my strong opinion. And it's just absurd how underrated Ja'Marr Chase is. Like, I think Ja'Marr Chase is better than CeeDee Lamb. I think Ja'Marr Chase is better than A.J. Brown. Ja'Marr Chase better than Amon-Ra St. Brown, better than Davante Adams. If you had to start a team, now I know Tyreek Hill's age factors into this and contract, but throw all that out. If you had to start a team and pick one wide receiver to build your team around, I don't think that there's anybody better than anybody better than Ja'Marr Chase except maybe Justin Jefferson. And we have talked before on this program. I know this is a hot take, but I would take Ja'Marr Chase over Justin Jefferson. Like, Ja'Marr Chase being the 7th ranked wide receiver in the NFL just does not sit right to me. I love A.J. Brown. I covered the Tennessee Titans. A.J. Brown was the best thing that ever happened to my favorite football team. It was incredible watching A.J. Brown play. The team didn't win. He showed up. They won for 3 years with him. They got rid of him, and now they can't win again. I love A.J. Brown, okay? But Ja'Marr Chase is a better player than these guys. So do you think I'm crazy? Where do you think Ja'Marr Chase should rank in this wide receiver rankings? And I guess, do you think he's going to get paid like one of these top guys, or do you think he's going to be the 7th paid wide receiver?
No. Let me take the last one first. No. He's going to rival one of the top. I mean, I'd probably take him over CeeDee Lamb just in a vacuum. His quarterback hasn't been healthy. So it's really hard to kind of prognosticate upon what his future is going to be like if Joe Burrow can't stay healthy. And the reason why Joe Burrow can't stay healthy is because Ja'Marr Chase is on the team. Okay? So they made a conscious decision to pair up number 1 wide receiver with quarterback with the most prolific offense college football has ever seen.
Right.
Over drafting Penny Sewell. That was a decision. And Joe Burrow has suffered the consequences of that, which is kind of a funny paradox that we're looking at here, double-edged sword. Davante Adams, I love him. I think he's great. I don't think he's a top 10 wide receiver anymore. Just like by the sheer, but we're talking about video games, man. So to answer your question, is he underrated? Yes. But this list is also fallacy ridden in the sense that the NFL top 100 list is fallacy ridden because it's predicated upon last year, not the future. So I do think he's underrated. I think that he's going to come back. They should pay him. They should pay him before CD. Like, they should pay him before people absolutely get massive numbers, even more so, like Brandon Aiyuk, soon. They should pay him immediately. He's the most important offensive player they have, especially with Joe Mixon gone. But so I agree with you there. But let me ask you this. So Brandon Ayuk's future is in the ether. We have no idea what's going to happen. Okay, he could be traded today. We could have to re-record this if he gets traded after we're done recording this, because we're recording this Wednesday midday. Is Brandon Aiyuk, first off, do you think he's a top 10 wide receiver? And second of all, like, top 10 wide receiver regardless of system, because he's obviously going to go somewhere else if he gets traded. And number two, are you giving him top tier money if you trade for him? You have to give up all the assets, and then you got to pay him probably the most rich wide receiver contract that we've ever seen.
Well, I mean, at this point, with how far we've gone without him getting a deal, it does make me think that a trade could be on the horizon here. We're starting to hear some whispers that a big NFL trade could be coming, and I think Brandon Aiyuk would be at the top of that list. I personally, I don't know that I would feel comfortable paying top of the receiver market money. I think that Brandon Aiyuk is a good player. I do, but he's had injury issues. People forget about that because he had one good year. He's also in the best offensive system in the entire NFL with a ton of help around him. Yep. I know that Brandon Aiyuk is considered the better wide receiver than Deebo Samuel, and I think that's fair. But we saw the impact that not having Deebo Samuel on the 49ers had last year. It's in the stats. They were a much better offense when they had Deebo, because Deebo is a more unique player that you can build an offense around. I just think that there are a lot of advantages that Brandon Aiyuk has. I think he's a very good wide receiver, but like DJ Moore just got paid $27 million. I think DJ Moore is a better football player than Brandon Aiyuk. I think if you put DJ Moore in Brandon Aiyuk's position, right?
Yeah, we like DJ Moore. We said he's the most underrated receiver, right? Even before he got traded to Chicago, we saw this coming.
Right. So I guess I would not want to pay Brandon Aiyuk top of the market, like $34 million a year. I think he's more in line with the $28 million a year type deal. So I wouldn't. But Alex, here's the question. If somebody is going to pay him that money and he is going to get traded, who do you want it to be? Before the show, we talked about two teams that made sense. The Washington Commanders, obviously the Jaden Daniels connection, and he would be a good fit. They have two good receivers, not three. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that I keep identifying because they just have a rough wide receiver group now outside of George Pickens. Would you pick one of those two teams if you were a matchmaker in the NFL, or would you pick a different team?
So I'm going to pick the one that I don't think I would take Washington, and it's not so much. It's given the opportunity for those two. Sorry?
The Adam Peters connection.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be Cliff Kingsbury's offense is a couple things. One, they're going to throw the hell out of the ball with Jaden Daniels. And it's going to be more so because I witnessed this firsthand. Like, Jaden Daniels is going to be the most equipped to succeed in year one and year two, but he's going to be making a lot of, I call gray area plays, where the wrong play call breaks down as everybody expects it to, and he just makes magical plays, just like Kyler Murray did his rookie year, and then 2020 and 2021 also. So the opportunity is going to be there. There is Terry McLaurin there. Okay. They've got pieces. Austin Eckler's there. Like, they're going to throw the ball a lot. With Pittsburgh, it's going to be him. It's going to be a worse version of what he has now. Same kind of thing. They're going to run the ball.
Play action.
They're going to have, like, they don't have, a George Kittle. They don't have a playmaker like Deebo or Christian McCaffrey, even though, Jalen Warren and Najee Harris have been fine.
They're good,
and the quarterback play is going to be worse. So I don't understand why Pittsburgh be out. Let's cold. Like really, like Pittsburgh, and you play in the AFC North, at least in the NFC East, it's going to be wide open like 2 years from now because Dallas is going to have none of its players, and Philly's probably going to disband in some capacity also.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It makes sense with both of them. That's why they're the two best options to make that trade. Will it happen? We will see. Some say that it's going to happen soon. You can never know, but excited for the fireworks either way. Now, let's transition over to the running back position because things are even more ridiculous than they are at wide receiver. Before we do that, though, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you buy Game Time. Look, Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. I tell you guys every single time we talk about Game Time, I'm not lying. That's where I buy all my tickets. Football, basketball. I've done NFL, WNBA, NBA, MLB, concert tickets. I mean, I buy everything on Game Time. And speaking of MLB, it's summertime. It is a perfect time to go to an MLB game. Now is when baseball is at its best. So make sure that you go on to Game Time and take the guesswork out of buying tickets for the MLB. Look, they have all-in pricing. You get a view from your seat. You get the Game Time guarantee, so you know you're getting the lowest price. You're not going to beat those features anywhere else. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Alex, let's continue this Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Talked about some of those wide receiver ratings from Madden, Jamar Chase being underrated, and a big conversation about where Brandon Aiyuk should be paid and where he should be traded if he does get dealt. Now I want to move to the running back position. And Alex, we looked at these lists before we came on, and things are really off the rails at the running back position. Before we get into it, thank you again for making Locked On NFL your first listen. It's your team every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. But just to go through this list quickly, I'm going to go through more than 10. 1, Christian McCaffrey, 99 overall. That makes sense. Then you got Nick Chubb at 2, Derrick Henry at 3, Saquon Barkley at 4, Joe Mixon at 5, Travis Etienne at 6, Josh Jacobs at 7, Aaron Jones at 8, Kenneth Walker at 9, Isaiah Pacheco 10, Jonathan Taylor at 11, 12, Raheem Mostert, 13, Tony Pollard, 14, Alvin Kamara, 15, DeAndre Swift, 16, Breece Hall, 17, Jahmyr Gibbs, 18, Kieran Williams. Alex, let me say this. Before we get to the names that we do see on the list, how is Bijan Robinson not one of the top 18 running backs in the NFL? That is insanity. Like, you don't want to, I don't want to be too excessively rude to the people who make these games and the people who set these things up, because I'm sure it's a hard job. Nobody ever agrees with rankings. No matter how you rank players in the NFL, somebody's going to show up and say you're an idiot. Like, that's just the way that lists and rankings and all that work. But there is no way that the person who put together this ranking knows anything about football. How can Bijan Robinson, who is probably one of the top 5 most talented, maybe not, he shouldn't be ranked top 5, but most talented runners in the NFL. He could do it on the ground. He could catch the ball out of the backfield. Like, how is Bijan Robinson not better than Kieran Williams? Not better than DeAndre Swift? Not better than this version of Alvin Kamara? Look, I'm a Tennessee Titans guy. I cover the Titans. How in the world is Tony Pollard ranked higher than Bijan Robinson? Raheem Mostert? Look, these are good players. Mostert's a good player. Pollard's a good player. Swift is a okay player. Bijan Robinson is a great player. Like, I just, that's the number one thing to me. The disrespect for Bijan Robinson. And if you're a fantasy person, load up on Bijan Robinson stock. In a new offense with Zach Robinson as the OC, with a head coach that's not trying to outsmart the entire NFL community and show that using my worst players more is actually how we win, without having that in the equation. Bijan Robinson is about to go insane. He's going to be a 90 rating next year. He's going to be like, it's just crazy to me. Whoever made these ratings clearly has something against the Falcons and Bijan Robinson, because there is no logical route here to say that he's not one of the top 18 running backs in the NFL. There's just no way.
No, I agree with it. Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, I guess I get the second-year guys are only in the 80s because they only had 1 year. But, I mean, so obviously the Bijan Robinson is insane to me. Nick Chubb's a 96. When was he productive last? So it's like you get a free pass because you missed a whole year with an injury? You just get a free
the
pass.
rookies take forever to get up there, but the veterans can be bad for multiple years and not fall. It's weird.
It doesn't. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, obviously the most 90-90-99 you'll ever see.
right.
You know, Joe Mixon sneaky in the sense that my buddy and I get in this argument every year with fantasy football. It's like he's always a top 10 back at the end of the year. But it's like, watch football. Okay? He's not at 91. Like him, Josh Jacobs, and Aaron Jones should be 2 or 3 points lower, all of them. So I don't really understand that. I think James Conner should get some run. I know that he's probably 81 or 82 and not 84, but top 18, it's like we're starting to see that. I think 88 for Kenneth Walker is severely overrated. I mean, he's an 84 running back or an 85 running back. So yeah, I don't know. The Bijan Robinson thing is going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating to see what the ratings are after this year. Jameer Gibbs a 95 after this year.
Right.
This is going to be the year with a lot of these second and third year backs, where it's like this is the year where they supplant the starting running back on their current team, or they just go into the absolute stratosphere and just, if they already are the RB1, like Christian McCaffrey did. So it'll be fascinating to see. Tyler, here's the thing. We've talked about lists a couple times on this show. You've been waiting. Like, if this was your power rankings of things you wanted to discuss, number one of the power rankings is what we're talking about next. I feel like for you, this is something that hits home to. Do you have anything else to bring up about the running back? Or is this list?
I do. I got to do one more. Do one more. Look, again, I'm a Tennessee Titans guy. I not only cover the Titans for Locked On, but I've been a Tennessee Titans fan for a quarter of a century. Okay. I hate the Indianapolis Colts. They have been bullying the Titans for my entire life. I hate the Colts. I hate them more. The Jags and the Texans, that's like 3 ugly dragons with the Titans. And then the Colts are the only normal looking dragon, to use the meme I really enjoy. But how is Jonathan Taylor 3 points worse than Travis Etienne? Who is Travis Etienne's family making these ratings? How is Travis Etienne considered the 6th best running back in the NFL, ranked higher than Josh Jacobs, ranked higher than Jonathan Taylor is better than Joe Mixon? What are we doing? So again, I'm a Titans guy. I don't like the Colts. I admit it, but come on now. Jonathan Taylor is a much better player than that. And I just think him and Bijan Robinson are the most disrespected players on this list. Bijan not being top 18, Jonathan Taylor being an 87. Jonathan Taylor 1 point higher than Tony Pollard. Come on, man. I'm a Titans guy who doesn't like the Colts, and I can tell you that that's absurd. That's not right. So I had to give Jonathan Taylor some love here because, man, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, and, you could very well see Derrick Henry as a 96 or 97 if he does in Baltimore what people think he can do this year, even though it'd be kind of overstated. It'd be fascinating to see what happens with the list next year. If you thought that pissed Tyler off, if you thought the Jamar Chase slight pissed Tyler off, you ain't seen nothing yet. The NFL's looking to go digital. Tyler's unhappy about it. We'll discuss it next Locked On NFL. This episode of Locked On NFL Thursday is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more, okay? There's not a lot of sports on this summer. I mean, baseball is in full swing, okay? And I love sports. Tyler loves sports. Sports aren't sporting right now. And we've got a few weeks till football, college football, NFL, NBA. We're going to be back before you know it. But FanDuel's got you covered for everything. Every day, they're giving away a booster bonus to everyone at FanDuel.com. Like, I've talked to Tyler about this. I talk about this on my show a lot. I wish baseball was my favorite sport because it's like March Madness for 6 months.
Yes.
All day, every day for 6 months, and then playoffs. And FanDuel's got you covered for it. Go to FanDuel.com right now. FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com. FanDuel. They're a partner of Major League Baseball, baby, so you know that's where you got to be. Tyler. The NFL is looking to implement a digitization that would supplant the chain game. One of the oldest pillars of the NFL, antiquated, probably, Imperfect? Yes. But still, one of the original children of the mother that is the NFL. Yes. Tyler, I'm just going to give you the stage here. We've got about 10 minutes left. I'd like 2 minutes. But go ahead, Bucko.
All right. So, first and foremost, NFL does a deal with Sony. They're going to have Sony headphones on the sidelines and all that. But as part of that deal, during the preseason, they're going to test using laser technology and GPS technology in lieu of the chain gang. Classic chain gang we've all grown to love. From Pee Wee all the way to the NFL, one thing you could count on is the chain gang. All right, Alex. This segment is called Rage Against the Machine. All right, that's what's happening here. The NFL is entertainment, folks. We are here to be entertained. And I feel the same way about umpires in baseball. Yeah, the umpire may get a little call wrong. The ball may be a little outside and he calls it a strike. But seeing an umpire ring somebody up, that is part of the magic of all of this. Like, to me, there are some people out there that want everything just calcified into a scientific measurement. Like, with the wave of analytics being used is a part of that. And I'm not saying that we need to crush all that and go back to the Stone Age, but we are losing some of the human element that makes things special when we go too far to the technology. So seeing the referee come out, stick that chain in the ground and seeing the ball be an inch short and having the ref throw the inch up like that, and you get a stop on 4th down in your team, like just having that flashed up on a board because it's already calculated by a laser, that is less entertaining. That is less magical. That is less memorable. It is a better, quote unquote, result, but it is a worse experience. So to me, I think we're going too far to the machines. We're going too far to the science. We're going too far to the technology. Remember that some of the drama, this is like with reviews. Reviews are great. We want to get the call right. But especially like in basketball, sometimes it's the last 2 minutes of a basketball game. It's a close game. They're going back and forth, and now we stop for 5 minutes to do a review. It just, yeah, you're going to get the call right, and we all want it to be right, but the technology and trying to be too scientific ruins the magic and ruins the experience and the enjoyment of watching a game. And I feel like there's a line. Look, I'm not saying ignore all the technology. There's a line here, a happy medium that we can find, but getting rid of the chain gang and going to lasers and GPS and blah, blah, that's a step too far for me. You're ruining the magic by trying to be too right. Human error is part of entertainment. It's part of sports. Leave my chain gang alone, NFL.
You want entertainment? Go watch a Marvel movie. You got to get it right. Okay?
It's all the same. There is no difference.
Here's the thing, Tyler. If you want drama, go to your local city theater and just watch some bad theater and watch some people who probably shouldn't be singing and shouldn't be acting for people, watching them. Okay? This is the thing. Because more times than not, I agree with you with it. I think an umpire should stay. I think that once you go to robot, there is no turning back from baseball, which is America's pastime. It's a different thing. There's a lot less, even though it sounds kind of unfair, there's a lot less at stake for Major League Baseball, okay? It's the 4th most popular sport, or 3rd in the United States. Football is far and away the most important product. So my wish for this is everything, there's microchip in the football, there's lasers everywhere, and you see green for first, red for not. And that's it. And touchdowns. Cross the plane, the red zone turns green. It's like touchdown. You don't even have to do anything.
Boring.
You don't have to do anything. It's not boring because human error is fun until it's your team that you cover or that you love that gets the short end of the stick and you lose a game or lose a Super Bowl or whatever it is because of it. You want it right. It's fun when it doesn't matter, when it's not your team that's watching or playing. Because you're like, oh, human error. But if it's the one that screws you over, if you're the Saints and you miss that pass interference call, it's bad because it's not a yardage thing. But like I'm saying that there's there's always too far. But I feel like for a game of inches to be called wrong by a couple inches because of the spot or because of whatever it is, I think it's a detriment to the product. It's going to be drama-filled no matter what. It'll speed up the game, which is what you want. You got your reviews, which are going to take forever. This stuff, it won't take time at all. It's like up, first down, up, fourth down, up, turnover on downs, game on, continue.
Okay, so this goes back to my point that I make all the time online. Some people don't like it. I don't care. The controversy is good for the sport. When we are arguing about calls, when we are arguing about whether this was right, whether this was a missed call, whether the controversy is drama is what entertainment is. It's good for the sport. When there's a blown call, when there's people always act like, oh, the referees are so bad, this is going to ruin. Actually, everybody is online talking about the same thing right now. That is good for the sport. So I agree with you. The game would be better. You don't want it to be your team that gets the short end of the stick, but the sport overall, the league of the NFL, I think the league benefits from these controversies that happen because of human error, not hurts them. The conversation increases the value of the league. Now, it's like Jerry Jones was talking about this with the Cowboys. Like, we may not win all the time, but you're always talking about us. The conversation is what is more important than anything to keep the league alive, to keep the sport alive. It's the conversation that's created. And I think that these referee controversies and things like this, I think they're better for the sport because of the conversation they create than if we just, oh, nope, call's right, move on. Like, I just think that, there's more conversation created by the mistakes sometimes than there are things going perfectly right and being right. You know what I mean? So I just don't agree with any of this. I just think we don't want to turn it into Madden. You don't want to turn it into Madden. Like, that's not what we want real NFL football to be, where everything is streamlined and everything is scientific.
No.
Human error makes it better.
If you want added drama in your life, watch TNT. I've got a bunch of them. With this extra drama stuff. How about this?
Like sports is different. Sports is the best drama on earth.
How about this? You get to talk more about the actual football game if the calls are right, instead of all the stuff that isn't the football game, that are parts of the football game, but it's not the actual football being played. That's what's being discussed. You see all these quote tweets. I wish we could just talk about football and talk about the game. That would alleviate the stressors having to do with asininity when it comes to refs and chain gangs and everything like that.
You get to talk about the game more. I agree, but let me use basketball as an example. The offseason in basketball generates more buzz than the game itself. This is something that people don't want to hear, but it's the truth. People like the drama more than they care about the game. People don't want to talk. More people would rather talk about Brandon Aiyuk potentially being traded than they want to talk about the 49ers running double mug cover 3 and disguising their coverages to blah, blah, blah. Like, people care more about the surface level drama than they do the actual game. That's what nobody wants to admit, but that's the truth about the human condition. We care more about the controversy and the drama than we do the game. Okay, that's the truth. That's why.
Okay, that may or may not be true, Freud. Okay, that may or may not be true. But the reason why the NBA game is failing is because people started listening to Daryl Morey 12 years ago about shooting threes, and nobody's questioned it since. It is the worst product the NBA has ever had.
It's too scientific.
That's why people aren't watching.
But that's my point.
People aren't watching. The NFL
it's too scientific.
The NFL is the best product it's ever been. It's better every year. It never gets worse. And that's the allure. They always find ways to reinvent. And this is just, if they're going to go a little iRobot with it, who the hell cares? Like, I think in the grand scheme of it, it's always going to come back to the game. It's going to be awesome. Do you remember when people were questioning a replay because, human error, replay has completely changed the game for the better? I don't care if you have to wait. It's 10 minutes between every play anyways. Football statistically slower than baseball, especially now. Right. So what does it matter? When it comes to chain gangs specifically, first of all, they're used 6 times a game? Maybe? 5 times a game?
So leave them alone.
It is a perfect case study in not needing 75-year-old men chugging out there with their belly to see if it's a first down or not, when it could be literally a split-second look without any sort of variation on whether it's true or not. And I feel like with very few truths in this world, that is one that you can just set and forget and move the hell on. And then finally get to the end zone one where the ball turns green if it's a touchdown or it's red if it's not. Like, there are things with AI and things like that can be, not AI, but technology that can be implemented that won't ruin the fiber and root of the game. And I think this is one of them.
Alex loves the machines. He wants to upload his consciousness into the AI and exterminate human beings forever. Let's just put robots out on the field. We'll just play Tecmo Bowl. We'll just watch Tecmo Bowl. Who needs humans? Alex hates human beings.
Is what it was. Cyberball for the old heads on Sega Genesis. It was Cyberball, where you played with robots.
A touch out of my reference frame. But
sure.
With that being said, that's fun. Thank you, Alex, for entertaining my passionate plea to not advance the game. But with that being said, that is going to do it for us on a Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Football game getting played tonight. Preseason game, Hall of Fame game. No one worthwhile is really going to play in that game, so we didn't spend too much time talking about it. But with that being said, that's going to do it for us today. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland. My co-host, Alex Clancy. I tell you guys every week, start your weekend early and stay safe out there.